Can you tell me what that will do here? And this is a very important point. This was the exam question yesterday, by the way. So, if they're in blue, listen carefully to me now. They're in blue, it's slowing down. And by the way, this is the problem China is having, and Indonesia is going to be having, and Philippines are going to be having, and India is having. Currency is trying to weaken. The market wants to go to 1.3 to 1. Government wants to keep it 1.25 to 1. As our friend said, the government, central bank buys domestic currency to try and keep it 1.25 to 1. What will that do here? It's sucking in money. Justin? Which way, up or down? Sucking in money, reducing money supply. Because they're buying this, vacuuming in Sing dollars to artificially bring it 1.25 to 1. Which way will this move? Decreasing end. Yes, so what you have here is, if you were to stick with your peg here, this baby goes further to the left. Are you with me here? It's a fundamentally important and very subtle point, and normally I don't bring this up in class because we don't get into this detail, but here is the takeaway. If your currency is pegged, and if you are fanatically sticking with your peg, yeah, and if the economy is slowing and capital is trying to leave, sticking with your peg will make it slow down faster. Are you with me here, folks? Very, very dangerous. It just exacerbates, it worsens the recession. The recession becomes a full-blown recession if you're fanatically sticking with your peg. Are you getting this, folks? Yes, no? So what's the only option? It's very, very important. Same thing, by the way, in the opposite direction. If capital is flowing into your country, right? And if you want to, and as your currency now gets stronger, but you artificially want to keep it weaker, you print more money. And that accelerates the bubble. So pegs are very dangerous things. You know, you have to manage the peg early. That's why Dr. Richard Hu, your hero, is one of my great heroes of all time. He managed the peg early. So one more time, if you have a hard peg, an in swing, as the aggregate demand swings in, it gets sucked in faster if you want to stick with the hard peg. And if you have a hard peg, as it's moving out, and if you want to insist on 1.25 to 1, it yanks out, swings out faster. It's the kiss of death. It magnifies the movements. So what should Singapore do? Stick with 1.25 to 1? Or
Singapore's pegging to a basket of currencies.
Yeah, so for you, it's a weighted basket of currencies, but let's just keep it simple. And by the way, I was telling my Chinese friends here, China sent a team to Singapore's MAS for 2 years to study how Dr. Who's people did that. And that's what China is doing now. Let's just keep it simple. So what would you do here? Sticking with the peg is going to shove you back into a hard landing. What's the one option left?
Prove yourself as a safe haven, more inflow of currency.
Yeah, what would you do with the peg? What?
If you loosen the peg, you're going to get hit with inflation.
Exactly. So basically, go to 1.3 to 1. Loosen them. Let it go to 1.3 to 1. Forget the old peg, because the harder you try to save it, the more the curve goes to the left. So what I'm saying is that Singapore, and you heard it here first, will try and loosen. Singapore dollar is going to start weakening. China is allowing its currency to weaken for exactly the same reason, and I'm glad I got that right. I had to negotiate my contract with this company that takes the executives to China. So it's like a 1-year contract. And everybody said, well, you know, the UN is going to keep appreciating. And I said, no, that story is over. So let's go with UN gradually falling. They said, weakening? I said, yeah. Got that one right. Saved records a lot of money. Not that I'll see any of it, but I saved records a lot of money. So here we are, so Sing dollar will weaken, and very similarly, folks, Chinese yuan is going to start weakening again. It will, same story, but just different magnitude. Are you with me here, folks? Because pegging is going to cause, I'm repeating myself, the recession to be exacerbated, to be larger. So China, Singapore, many of these countries' currencies will start weakening. So let's now switch to China. So here we are. Can you imagine what's going to happen with Mitt Romney's people when China now starts weakening its currency? they're going to go mad, even crazier, right? So let's swing over to US-China, the dollar-yuan saga.
So is the QE3 coming tomorrow morning or in another 2 hours?
By the way, QE3, there's actually technically this QE4, 5, and 6. It's just absolutely shameful, you know. Should I do QE really quick to show you QE? So, really quick. So when you increase money supply, this is US. And so here we are, money supply, money demand. This is the Federal Reserve, Ben Bernanke, whose name gives me heartburn. He's really taken us down. This is interest rates. So what happens when, in the good old days, the Federal Reserve would buy and sell treasuries to increase money supply from the Bank of Ramu in New York? The Federal Reserve would say, Bank of Ramu, sell me government bonds, nice safe treasuries. And I will create money and give you money, and you can lend it to our friends Chris and all back there. Right? What happened in 2008 was that Ramu and all his pals, they started selling those weird mortgage-backed securities, all those horrible loans to people who are lying about their salaries. We talked about this in class, the junk, the mess that got this planet into trouble. And what happened is that Ben started buying all his Goldman Sachs buddies, all those bags of rotten loans, and printing money. So instead of treasuries like they were supposed to do, they were buying all the rotten stuff from all your private Bank of Cayman, Bank of Lelu, and Bank of Eric. And all these guys were unloading the stuff to the Fed, and the Fed was printing money and giving it to them. Taxpayers were left with those bags of rotten loans. And so what you have here is you increase money supply. This is zero. And once this reaches zero, if you increase money supply and buying those rotten bonds, rotten banks, it never goes below zero. So increasing money supply, but interest rates are still at zero. That's called quantitative easing. It's basically shameful monetization. And my macro buddies from Argentina and Brazil and Mexico, you know, people I know in the central bank, in 2008 they were calling me and saying, what are you guys doing? We used to do this. And that's when you guys would rap our knuckles and you know, scold us. And this is, what we did was a fraction of what you guys did. What is going on out there? My guys from Frankfurt are calling and going, what are you guys doing? Have you guys, this is what we did in hyperinflation. And so, quantitative easing. And the scary part is that out there, the world thinks this is a good thing. Stock market goes up when the Fed says we're going to do more of this. It just boggles the mind. And so what's driving the American stock market right now is just money. It's like water. It's been pumped out. And so it's nothing. The only activity there is iPad and Panera Bread coffee store. There's nothing else. So beware of the US stock market. I'm not in it.
So how come US is not keep so far away hyperinflation? There are all kinds of hyperinflation.
Wow. So he's thinking, so what the heck? How come inflation this should be like chapter 6 from our book, which of course you have to memorize every day, right, Chris? And so what you're thinking is, my analogy is very good, if I may say so. It's like flooding this room with petrol. We just talked about that, right? There's no match. So what you have here is we created all this money, and I call this toothpaste money. Toothpaste money, as we've said in class before, toothpaste, when you squeeze toothpaste, it comes out. You cannot put it back in. So I call it toothpaste money. So what we've done here with this repeated quantitative easing is we've filled this room with gasoline, petrol. But there's no match. Consumer confidence is dead. Investor confidence is, nobody's borrowing. American companies are lending to Uncle Sam. We are borrowing less and less from China, by the way, right now. And so there's no action. Confidence is low. It's just sitting there. Till there's a spark. When there's a spark, when the economy wakes up, this baby shows up as inflation. But we're not worrying about it. It's another day. And out there, the stock market's going to be happy. And so guys like me don't sleep much. Sometimes I wish I did not know economics. I was happy then. Okay, so the dollar yuan story. If you have any questions, stop me, folks. I'm just going to go with the classes. So here we are, let's go back. So China's current